This is the Dallas Morning News.
Eat, Drink, DFW from the Dallas Morning News is made possible by Central Market.
Hello, and welcome to Eat, Drink, DFW, the podcast from the Dallas Morning News food team. Each week, we take a look at food and drink trends in North Texas, talk about restaurants in Dallas-Fort Worth, learn some new recipes, and sometimes even get tips from you, our listeners. I'm Anna Butler, the Dallas Morning News' food editor. This week, we're taking you behind the scenes of how a local barbecue restaurant ended up in the second season of Landman. And later, we'll be talking about a change to this year's Texas Michelin Awards. That's all coming up right after this.
Central Market is really into food, like fish flown in so fresh it still has jet lag into food. Our sourdough starter has been around since grunge was a thing into food. We're talking more prime cuts than a greatest hits album into food. Central Market is really into food. If you are too, then we're the HQ for you. Whether you're a make every recipe in the cookbook foodie or a my favorite recipe is reheat type who just digs the delectable, no place makes every day more delicious like Central Market. Really into food. Shop now at centralmarket.com.
For the latest food and restaurant news in Dallas-Fort Worth, visit dallasnews.com/food. Also, we'd love to hear from you, so email us at eatdrink@dallasnews.com. Today, I am joined by Sarah Blaskovich, Claire Baller, and Imelda Garcia. Sarah, can you tell us what's going on with Chili's?
Big news in Chili's world. Chili's is based in Dallas, as we all know. The first one started here 50 years ago on Greenville Avenue. Last week, Chili's announced that it would remove its longtime skillet beef queso and white skillet queso. So 2 quesos gone from the menu, being replaced by a new cheese dip called Southwest queso. Now, that skillet beef queso had been on Chili's menu for 35 years. And those of us who grew up in Dallas like me, and maybe even those who didn't, this was, love it or hate it, an iconic Chili's recipe. So we posted a news story explaining why they're taking away this queso, which is because the CMO says that customers expressed, quote, dissatisfaction with Chili's queso lineup for the last few years, which surprised me. It sounds like, Imelda, it surprised you too.
Yeah, I am.
I can't say it's a great queso, but I can say it's iconic. It is so orange, studded with pieces of beef. I don't know. It felt like the Chili's Chicken Crispers situation. They changed the recipe for the Chicken Crispers. And those of us who remember the old ones, they were like fluffy and sweet, kind of tempura-like. And they changed the chicken tenders to be crispier. Those new chicken tenders might be fantastic, but that was still like a who moved my cheese. It was a big deal. And now they are really actually moving the cheese. When I posted this news story, readers had thoughts and feelings. Also in my Instagram DMs, I checked on the millennials out there, of which I am one, and said, hey, how's everybody doing? And answers ranged from not well to dead. I got several answers that were just no. I was like, my friends are not doing well over this news. Now, I thought it'd be fun to read some of our readers' comments about this queso change. Claire?
Reader Fred said skillet queso was the only reason I went there.
Oh.
Ronald says, we ordered it a while back and it was gross.
Uh-oh. So Ronald is saying what Chili's execs are saying, which is this queso is not up to our standards anymore. Maybe people liked it 35 years ago. Maybe it was popular in the 90s. It hasn't been popular for a while. And Chili's said both older quesos accounted for just 1% of sales, which did surprise me. That's a low number. Now, Harry, a reader, thinks he has the answer. What about those of us who've loved skillet queso for decades and want it to stick around? Trying to lure customers you've never had before over those who loyally come all the time. He has a different idea. Add the new product, but don't take the one I love away. Now, I don't know what to tell Chili's to do. That's not the job. But Harry's idea sounds nice.
Do you think they just want to stop using the skillets?
Great question. I have a thought about the skillet too. Do we remember when the skillet queso had the skillet handle with the little bitty pot holder?
Does it not have that anymore?
No.
It's like embedded in my memory because I think I probably burned myself on it as a child.
Yes. But also because maybe some of us, maybe me, had one of those tiny little pot holders in the kitchen drawer. It's like, I don't know why, but somehow that came home. And many people I know also had one at home. Perhaps that was a problem for Chili's. Chili's, I'm sorry about that. I went a couple of days before they got rid of the skillet queso with my daughter who'd never had it before. And they serve the queso in a round skillet without a handle. Therefore, no pot holder needed. I don't know when they did that, but that's a big deal to me.
Sarah, and are they like changing the actual queso?
Excellent question. It's a totally new recipe that they say is better for you and, just sort of better in general. The new recipe is American cheese, cheddar cheese, green chilies, onions, and lime, served with Chili's tortilla chips, which are super duper salty and crispy. Yeah, I think the old cheese wasn't very high quality, but those of us who remember it from 1990 maybe didn't hate that.
I also feel like Tex-Mex I associate with, at times, low-quality cheese.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, maybe we're raising the quality on the cheese here.
It's kind of sad. We did ask our readers also, will you miss Chili's queso as part of a poll? 62% of readers said yes. 38% said no.
This seems to be at odds with the fact that it is 1% of sales. We might just love the nostalgia factor, but we're not buying it, which, if you're Chili's, is a business problem. And maybe that's why they made the change.
Or maybe they only polled Gen Z who loves a cheese pull too much.
Yes, true.
Imelda, you reported on Desperado's Mexican restaurant expanding again. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, guys, Desperados is growing, and this super popular restaurant is now opening its third location now in Plano. It's going to conquer Collin County now. Ooh. And we know that Collin County is on this explosion of residential homes and restaurants and entertainment venues, and it's crazy over there. So this restaurant will be in Willow Bend Market on Parker Avenue, and it will be on the space that was occupied by On the Border restaurant. And we all know that Desperados is one of the most beloved Tex-Mex restaurants in Dallas. I don't know if you have any memories of it.
I do. It's in East Dallas. It's a cute little place. I always liked the prices. It felt like one of those Tex-Mex places that didn't get the crazy expensive everythings is that so many other places did in the last 5 or 10 years.
It's one of the only places I can find puffy tacos in Dallas. Which is more of a central and like San Antonio area Tex-Mex thing, but they've got them there.
Imelda, how long has Desperados been around in DFW?
This is a local staple from 1976.
Oh, wow.
Wait, that's almost 50 years. Wow.
Yeah, you're right.
That was also the bicentennial of America when it opened.
And in Fort Worth, there's going to be another great restaurant. It's called Dos Mares. This restaurant is going to offer cuisine from both coasts of Mexico. So on one hand, we are going to have dishes from Veracruz, from Tamaulipas, from Yucatan. And on the other hand, we will have dishes from Sinaloa and Baja. They're very different, guys. Even the seafood tastes different. They're going to bring the seafood from those places. So we know that we are going to have the true flavor of those cuisines. It's going to be very interesting.
Imelda, I'm really interested in Dos Mares because it's next door to Don Artemio in really kind of a bustling part of Fort Worth. If you're at the museums or a couple of the new hotels right there, you're really close to these restaurants. And I put Dos Mares on my list of the most exciting restaurants opening in 2025 because I think the people behind it are interesting, and also Fort Worth's food scene is exciting to me. Now, is Dos Mares considered to be a more casual and therefore lower priced Mexican restaurant compared to Don Artemio next door?
Yes, it's going to be a very relaxed space with a bar, and you can go and enjoy some tostadas or tacos or fish tacos. It's going to be more casual and also, I think, very popular.
Yeah, that whole like easy breezy coastal thing makes sense to me. And when I heard they were next door to one another, it's like, oh, they better be different, because you don't want to open your same or similar thing right there. When the lease came up, I remember talking to the GM at the time about it, and it was cool that he took the lease. But yeah, they need to distinguish themselves.
When I saw the news that they were opening a second restaurant, I kind of assumed I was going to read that it would be in the Dallas area. Because they've done really well in Fort Worth and have made a name for themselves there. And so I was really pleasantly surprised when I saw that they were staying in Fort Worth. It's cool to see people decide to double down where they are. And I think Fort Worth deserves it.
I mean, I wouldn't have been upset if we did get a Don Artemio in Dallas, though.
Let me explain why are they keeping the restaurants in Fort Worth. They are from Saltillo. It's a very close city to Monterrey. That is a bigger city. And when I asked Chef Rodrigo Cardenas, why are you not going to Dallas? It's a bigger city. He told me, no, because we have to resemble the same thing that we had in Mexico. Mm-hmm. Saltillo is a smaller city than Monterrey. And here, Fort Worth is a smaller city than Dallas.
That makes so much sense.
Sarah, you talked to a local barbecue restaurant that is going to be in the second season of the show Landman. How did this even happen?
So this is cool. Brandon Hurtado, who owns Hurtado Barbecue, and we have those in Dallas and Fort Worth and 2 other cities. He was on the set catering barbecue for Taylor Sheridan's crew, and he has done this a lot. And there came a scene, apparently, where there was a fictional oil and gas convention where barbecue was going to be served. And so they asked Brandon Hurtado and 3 of his guys to send in headshots as a sort of pseudo audition to be the barbecue caterers on the television show, even though they were the barbecue caterers, like behind the cameras, you know, just for the crew. You know, I asked him, I'm like, have you ever been an actor before? And he's like, well, certainly not. But the thing he knows how to do is make barbecue. And they asked him on this show to make barbecue. So he's like, I think we can do that. But he did send in the headshots and they were paid, and they did a full day of filming Landman. And his funny anecdote is that TV shows and movies are slick and beautiful, but the making of them is long and hot and painful. So he said it was all day, like all day, outside, and it was warm outside, and take after take, you know, more barbecue, more handing out stuff. And I don't know how we will see them. You know, I don't know if they're front of the camera or back in, you know, kind of behind the scenes or what. And he doesn't know either. No idea what they're going to do with it. But you know, he said it's really long and hot making a television show. And I said, well, it's really long and hot making barbecue. So I think you're totally cut out for this job. But if you're a barbecue fan like me, when Landman premieres on November 16th, if you're watching the show, look out for Brandon Hurtado and 3 of his guys, who I think will be seen in some capacity serving up barbecue.
Imelda took a trip over to Lover's Lane near the Dallas North Tollway in University Park, and that was after we received a tip from a local food business that they were just having a tougher time due to road construction. What did you find there, Imelda?
This construction is happening in the Miracle Mile, that area that is full of businesses, full of restaurants, and it's very popular. They are repaving the road and repaving all the parking spaces that belong to the city. That's very interesting and very important because it's the city, the one that is improving all that area. Now, the businesses are suffering because people cannot go and park in front of the business. They have to go elsewhere.
And it's funny because parking over there was already pretty bad.
Yeah.
I mean, if anybody can think about Lovers in the Tollway, the spots are weird, and pulling into those skinny little areas, it feels like you're doing it wrong. I've been there so many times, and every time I'm like, this is an odd situation. So I feel for the small businesses whose parking situation was already odd, and now it sounds like it's way worse, which that didn't seem possible.
And it was already like survival of the fittest to park there. And now there are fewer parking spots. They've removed half of parking from some spots, like where there's not parking on both sides of these little side roads that are now the thoroughfares. And they used to be the parking lots.
Some businesses are suffering really bad. They have lost even 50% of their customers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, and this construction work is going to last until May 2026. So it's an ongoing situation. It's a very delicate situation for these businesses. The city is not providing financial support to them. What the city did was provide another parking space, a bigger one, and they put a golf cart so you can go and park at the high school and then take the golf cart and go to the business. But that is weird, right?
Well, and it's a lot of work, especially like think about it. If you want to go to Chips on Lover's Lane and get a burger, I don't know that I would be motivated enough to go park and take a shuttle essentially to go get my quick lunch burger.
Yes. Same with Sugar and Sage, that adorable coffee shop with great pastries from a former Fearing's pastry chef. I love that place. Do you park at the high school? Is it the high school, Imelda?
Yes.
And take a golf cart over for a croissant and an espresso.
Well, and then K&L Bagels just opened, and they opened into this.
Yeah.
This is also where Hudson House is, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's probably one of the biggest draws in that area, which means a lot of spots are probably being taken up by those patrons as well.
I also think, though, that if you drove through those streets at all, you were really hoping that they would fix some. And so it is an interesting juxtaposition, though, especially for that parking lot. It was rough. I mean, the potholes were brutal. If you don't have an SUV, good luck to you. So I just think about it, though, where they will probably stick to their timeline. I feel like City of University Park is very good about doing that from what we've seen before. It makes me think of an area like Deep Ellum, though, where you have multiple food businesses that have had construction in front of them for over a year. How do you even sustain that?
It's a good question. And from the people who I've talked to in Deep Ellum who are dealing with this, they don't have an answer to it. I mean, it is just like hold tight and try to stay open. And it's just a big question of what responsibility, if any, do cities have to restaurant businesses, small businesses in general, when there are ongoing construction projects? How do you create an ecosystem in which you are maintaining your infrastructure, but also creating an environment in which your small businesses can actually stay open?
And the city of Frisco actually has an interesting solution to this. So they have all of this construction over at the rail yard area, and they have approved $500,000 in grants towards small businesses in that area.
Wow.
Which it's not $500,000 per business, but I think in general that at least is a little bit of an incentive to say, hey, please stay here. We want you here. And we also want this to be a vibrant area once this construction is over. But I also don't know if a city even like Dallas could find the money to do that quickly.
During the pandemic, when we knew that small businesses were hurting, the government helped them. And construction on a single road is a totally different thing than the pandemic. But the effects of losing 50% of that one business's customers are not different than some of the most serious parts of the pandemic. And I would like to think that if a restaurant owner knew there would be construction for, call it 2 years in front of their business and they were going to open, that they wouldn't sign a lease. Like, it's that serious. So you've got to feel for the businesses that were already there. Yeah, they want Commerce Street in Deep Ellum to get better. Yeah, they want West Lovers Lane near the tollway to get better. But at what cost? There is one Instagram post from Cane Rosso on Commerce Street in Deep Ellum. It was from April, but it said, "This is fine," in all caps. And there's a picture of like terrible construction. And it says, "This weekend, remember to support your favorite local pizzeria currently embedded in a road construction project that is not slated to end until the fall of 2026, exclamation point, exclamation point." Every business in Deep Ellum is hurting these days. Do your best to support the bars, restaurants, and venues you love. And that sentiment could be put anywhere, including on Lover's Lane for those restaurants suffering.
You can read about all of these things by visiting dallasnews.com/food. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, it's all about Michelin.
Central Market is really into food. Like when we say cheese, it's in 12 languages into food. Butchers, bakers, and sushi roll makers into food. We're talking so obsessive about quality you can shop blindfolded into food. Central Market is really into food. If you are too, then let us turn your shopping list into a treasure map. Get inspired, get adventurous, or just get a chef-made dinner when you've got more taste buds than time. No place makes every meal more amazing like Central Market. Really into food. Shop now at centralmarket.com.
Welcome back. In just a minute, we're jumping into changes to this year's Michelin ceremony. But first, we would love it if you helped spread the word about our podcast. If you like it, please tell your friends. It would mean the world to us. Okay, Sarah, you learned that there is going to be a change to who is invited to this year's Michelin ceremony. What's new?
Yes. In 2025, the Michelin ceremony is October 28th in Houston. And you want to be invited to that party because that means your restaurant is going to win something. And in 2024, there was a lot of behind the scenes talk about who was being invited to the ceremony. It signaled that your life was about to change because it wasn't like they just invited anybody who owned a restaurant. They invited people winning last year, and everybody was waiting with bated breath for their invitation. New in 2025, and this is really important, the restaurants getting recommended status, which is not a star, it's just kind of like a thumbs up from Michelin. They will not be invited to the ceremony. Yes. And that comprised, I believe, over a dozen restaurants from Dallas-Fort Worth that were recommended, places that we all know and love. Places like Quarter Acre and Mr. Charles and so many others were on that list. Now, many of those restaurants could get a higher status and get invited to the ceremony in 2025. However, this year, if you're winning recommended, you're not getting an invite.
Do we know why that is? Is it because the venue is smaller? Are we getting more recommended restaurants? Did Michelin tell you anything as to why this is changing this year?
Those are very good questions, and we don't know the answers. Now, Michelin is a very secretive organization. For about 100 years, they've been reviewing restaurants, but they've only been in Texas since 2024. But it's true that we don't know all of these secret processes, and perhaps they change year to year in Texas. They might be different in other states or cities. We don't really know. But what we know in Texas is that as chefs are waiting for their invitation, if you don't get one, you do still want to tune in to the live stream on Michelin Night, because those restaurants may very well be winning a recommended status and not have a seat in the ceremony.
And we will be streaming the Michelin Awards again on dallasnews.com. Just look out for a link the day of the awards event on October 28th.
So Sarah, to recap, if a restaurateur receives an invitation, that means that they are earning a star, 1, 2, or 3, or a green star, or possibly Bib Gourmand.
That's correct. Now, they said they often, quote unquote, invite Bib Gourmand recipients.
But not always.
Okay. And that's new for 2025 as
Okay.
well. Now, a Bib Gourmand is for value-driven food. These are the restaurants that are great and that don't cost an arm and a leg. And we shall see, this year which ones win and if they are invited. That's a maybe. We know that recommended restaurants are not going to be invited. And then there's one more category, which are these special distinctions, which Michelin can make up, and they're not the same every year. One example of that is exceptional cocktails in 2024 at the Michelin Guide Texas. And the bartender from Rye on Greenville Avenue won that award. We had no idea an exceptional cocktails award was coming at all. And those special awards are interesting because they were given to people instead of restaurants or bars. And I mention that because a Michelin star goes to the place, not to the owners or to the chefs behind that restaurant. And so those special awards are just a little bit different. They named 4 people. We have no idea what special awards will happen in Texas, if they happen at all. And that's at Michelin's discretion to add or not add those in 2025.
So what this means is that if a restaurant received an invitation last year and they got a recommended or bib and they don't get an invitation this year, it doesn't necessarily mean that they aren't going to be on one of those lists again.
That's exactly right. However, another important thing for every single award is you start over clean every year. So if you received a recommended or bib at your suggestion, Claire, you will certainly be considered for those again the next year, but you do not hold on to them the next year. You have to win them again. And again and again and again. Same with stars. Tatsu is the only Michelin-starred restaurant in Dallas-Fort Worth. It received 1 star. It is not promised a star in 2025. It has to re-earn it. And we are waiting with bated breath to see if Tatsu and its owner and chef get invited again. But also, I think there are other chefs and restaurateurs around town who hope to get invited who think they're in star contention. I don't know how many Michelin stars will be awarded to Dallas-Fort Worth restaurants, but maybe it's more than 1 in 2025.
I would love to know why are recommended restaurants not going to be invited but bib are? Like, does that signify anything of how Michelin sees recommended versus bib? It leaves a lot of questions for me.
I don't have the answers to them, and Michelin has not given us explicit answers. I do have a guess. I do think that Bib Gourmand is a more beloved honor from Michelin. Michelin said to us that the inspector's favorite restaurants tend to be Bib Gourmand recipients, which is interesting. Not the 3 Michelin-starred restaurants where you got to dress up and stay for 4 hours and spend a ton of money. The inspector's favorite restaurants tend to be the bibs. And I think that's especially true in Europe, where a lot of Bib Gourmands are given to these wonderful sidewalk cafes. So that's one thing. The second thing is, I believe we might have more or less recommended restaurants. We don't know that yet, but I think there's a de-emphasis on them. So, you come out of the gate in 2024 in Texas and you want to invite a lot of people to this ceremony. You want there to be a lot of excitement around what they're doing and why. In 2025, I think there's a reality check. Are all of those barbecue joints we gave 1 Michelin star to, are they still doing as great of a job, and do they deserve a star in year 2? That's a thing we will follow pretty closely. But then also, all these recommended restaurants, did some of them rise to the occasion of 1 Michelin star? We really hope so. That's kind of the point of Michelin looking hard at recommended restaurants, is that some of those will get better, which is good for all of us, right? That's good for our dining scene. And then the restaurants that got recommended or any other status, but that didn't stay great, well, they're off the list.
Well, and you would hope that maybe the Bib Gourmand choices, at least in Dallas-Fort Worth this time around, might actually be the values that they're supposed to be. And that's not a knock at the restaurants that receive they're exceptional restaurants. Most of us left scratching our heads as to how we were supposed to spend only $50 for a fabulous meal at some of these places.
I think this is nerve-wracking, and there are going to be a lot of broken hearts.
Something that I've heard from a lot of chefs and restaurateurs around town is, when do they send these invitations? Like, am I supposed to have mine already? And I couldn't get a good answer on that. The other thing is, I asked how they're sent. Is it email? Is it they send a courier to your door with balloons? Whatever. And I don't know the answer to that either. So I think there are a lot of people really waiting right now because October 28th is kind of soon. Mm-hmm. You need that invitation in hand so that you can make hotel reservations, so you can drive down there so that you can find somebody to cover your restaurant. If you're a small restaurant, somebody's got to run that shop when you run down to Houston.
And some of them close. We saw that happen last year.
Yeah.
That some of those people who were invited because of the size of their restaurant, that meant closing down for 2 days.
That's right. But the other thing I think from Michelin's point of view is this is a secret. So you don't send the invitation 6 months ago so that people can blab all over the internet that they got an invitation. You send them close to the date and it's a secret. So now is the time when chefs are starting to get a little quiet, a little nervous. If everybody's feeling a little bit of tension in the air in the Dallas dining scene right now, this could be why.
And Sarah is going to be at the Michelin Awards live and in person, whoever is there with her. We don't know yet.
I will say everybody's waiting for their invitations. I did get mine.
Whoa.
And mine came via email. That's how, so I don't know, media might be different than the chefs, but mine came via email.
Okay, that's all the time we have for today. And we do want to hear from you. Email us at eatdrink@dallasnews.com with your thoughts on the 2025 Michelin Awards or any of your food thoughts and questions in general. And we don't want you to miss an episode. Make sure you're following Eat Drink DFW wherever you find podcasts. Special thanks to our producer, Julie Fisk. For the news, I'm Anna Butler. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Eat, Drink, DFW from the Dallas Morning News is made possible by Central Market.